Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I have a project here today for the Scrapbook Nerd online shop and blog. And today we are having a online crop over at the Facebook group for Scrapbook Nerd. And I will leave a link to the shop and the Facebook group down below so that you can find all of the information. Today, my challenge is to use some mixed media on your project. And what I'm doing here is I'm adding some Vicki Boutin watercolors to some basil marshmallow cardstock. I have treated my cardstock with some gesso prior to starting the layout, and I just let that dry. And now I'm just taking a 1-inch brush, and you can see there at the beginning I just saturated my brush with some water, and then I just went into the watercolor, and now I'm just taking and swiping that, and you can just see that I'm adding color in that way. And I'll just go over it until I kind of am happy with the opacity of the color on the white background. And you can just see I'm just continuing this process until I'm happy with how this looks. So I'm just going to continue to clean that paint out of my brush and go into another color. And I'm actually trying to create a color scheme here that's going to complement the collection that I'm going to be using. And the collection I'm using today is going to be the Maggie Holmes Crepe Paper Sunny Days collection, which is gorgeous. And that's going to go along really nicely with the photograph that I'm going to be using to document a memory that is obviously the focus for this project today. And I guess for all of our scrapbooking, right? The goal is to get those memories documented and do it in a way that we feel has or creates a pleasing result. So I'm going to just continue on. You can see with some other colors. I wanted to make sure that I got kind of a green tone in here as well, because I am going to be using some greens as part of this collection also. Now, one of the papers that I'm going to be using for my layout today comes from the 12 by 12 paper pad from the Sunny Days collection. And I'm just going to use some circle punches for some paper that you'll see I'm going to be using here as I go. Now, I've actually let this sit overnight and let this really dry well. Now, those little black splotches that you can see there, what I did was I just took another paintbrush and I added those messy dots in with some black acrylic paint, just whatever you have in your stash. I used, I don't even know what brand it was or anything, just some black. And I just took and added some those messy dots. And then I also took a fine brush and added some fine little details to the watercolor areas with some black and then some white paint also. Now, I thought it was a little bit bright. I wanted to tone it down a little bit. So that's why I went over all of the area there with the color with some white gesso again and my brayer. And you can see it just tones it down a little bit there. I didn't want it to be quite that bright. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm taking a Vicki Boutin stencil from the Color Kaleidoscope collection, and I'm adding some of the texture paste. That's the iridescent glitter. This iridescent glitter texture paste, you guys, is absolutely the bomb.com. I love it. It is so beautiful. It literally has the largest chunks of glitter in it that I have ever seen, and it dries quite quickly, and it just adds the most beautiful glitter and shine to a project. And so this stencil actually really matches the pattern paper that I wanted to use from the Sunny Days collection, so it was a perfect addition. Now, I did take that stencil on palette knife and wash it up really, really well so that it didn't dry on there. And I also use my heat tool to speed up the drying of that iridescent glitter paste as well. Now, this paper that I'm using here that I've just torn in a messy fashion is from the Sunny Days collection as well. And I just really liked how this almost reads as a neutral pattern. There's a little bit of subtle pattern on it, but it's not too crazy. And I like how it's just sort of like monochromatic and goes nicely with the blue tones that I have in the watercolor. Now, what I did was I took that paper, the pattern paper from the paper pad that has these circle patterns in it, that's just like on that stencil, and I just used a bunch of different circle punch sizes. I used 3 different sizes and cut out those circles to create an embellishment along that torn edge. Now, I did take my sewing machine and stitched a straight line up the side of that pattern paper on the left just to add a little bit more interest. And now I'm going to just put these little circles on here in that way. And I'm going to add these on with a little bit of adhesive, both just regular tape runner and also a little bit of foam adhesive to pop them up. And I'm pretty sure Joy has foam adhesive squares in the shop, at least that's what I'm using. And I did purchase those at the shop, so I'm not sure if she still has those in stock, but I know that she did have some Gina K ones and different brands, and those are fantastic little bits of adhesive to have in your stash, because adding some foam adhesive to a layout just gives it a little bit more dimension and interest. Now, what I did was in the 12 by 12 pad, there's a cut apart sheet, and I cut all of those cut aparts apart, and I'm going to use them to back my photograph here and just add some interesting layers to my photo. So I'm just going to take my tape runner here and I'm going to just add adhesive to the little bits and pieces and add them to my 4x3 photo in that way, just to give a little bit of an interesting matte to the photo. So I'm going to try to use colors, papers here that are fairly subtle, nothing too bright, but that have a little bit of text on them and print, because I think that just looks really interesting. Now, this is a 4x3 photo in portrait, and I have used Lightroom to adjust the lighting in this photo. So I've really upped the exposure, and I used the dehaze a little bit too on it. I just wanted to give it a really light, airy feel to this photo. And I really like how those edits on the photo just really accentuate the photo nicely. This is a photo of my daughter and one of her best friends. This young gal here, her name is Katie. She's actually going to be marrying Bailey's brother-in-law. So these two girls are going to be sisters-in-law, which is kind of cool and fun for them. I think that's really neat, and they will have sort of that friendship will grow in that way. And this picture is of the two of them from Bailey's shower last summer when we were at the James Hotel in Saskatoon. And I just love this photo. I think it's really pretty. You can see the trees in the background from the city, and I just think it's a gorgeous shot of them. They're both smiling so nicely, and I love it. So I wanted to document this, and I love the collection, how this collection complements the photo as well, because the collection is all about summer and sunny days. So it just works well. Now, I wanted to just kind of put the photograph a little bit lower on the layout, kind of in the bottom 2/3. And I want to, I'm also adding a little glassine bag to the back just to give it a little bit more texture and another layer on the back of those photo layers. And now what I'm going to do is take a piece of cheapy craft foam and add that to the back. It's just kind of an inexpensive way to add some dimension to a larger area when you're scrapbooking. I like to buy the stuff that has the adhesive on the back of it, and this is just something that I purchase at Walmart. Now I'm going to take my glue here and I'm going to add that to the back and put this onto the layout. Now that liquid adhesive is really going to adhere to all of that different mixed media on the background and really help this stay in place. Now I'm just going to add a paperweight there, and you can see that I also used my T-square to make sure that was straight, and that paperweight's just going to sit on there for a little bit until it's stuck down. Now I'm going to take some of the puffy stickers from the Sunny Days collection and add a title, and it's just going to be Sweet Summer. I am going to go back later and add some liquid adhesive to the back of all of these puffy stickers just to make sure that they don't come loose on that mixed media. Now I'm going to take these really sweet little paper dimensional stickers from the collection and add those on in 3 different areas and kind of create a way for the eye to move from the top over to the photo and then down to the bottom with those large dimensional stickers. I love that the stickers really complement the colors, obviously, that I've used for the watercolors, and then of course those little circles on the side. And now I'm going to take these little gems and add them to all of the different centers of those little circle pieces over on the left. And I just really love how those sparkle and shine. That goes along nicely with that iridescent glitter paste that I've used as well. And it just finishes off those little circle pieces and adds another little area of detail and dimension. Now, the little cardstock stickers that are part of the collection as well are so much fun. I don't actually, these aren't cardstock stickers. They're, I can't remember what they're called, but they're not cardstock. They're like almost like a little bit of plasticky kind of, if you know what I mean. They're just neat. And I really like how you can kind of see through them. They're a little bit transparent. And I really love how they're just really subtle on there. So I just used a couple of those phrase stickers. One says life is sweet and the other says summertime. And now what I want to do is take some of the actual cardstock stickers and see if I can fit some of those on here. So I try a few things, but what I settle on is the little heart shapes that are on the cardstock sticker sheet. And I'm going to use a few little hearts here and there in some of my little cluster areas. So I really like how this turned out. And the challenge is to use some mixed media. So whatever it is that you have in your stash, dive into that stash and try some mixed media. If you want to try this exact same technique that I used here with the swipes of color and then the little dots, it is kind of fun. It wasn't hard to do. It was super easy. It actually was it went really fast, and it is a neat way to create your own background. And then, of course, using the color scheme from a collection as inspiration, you can then create a background that is totally yours. It's totally unique, and you can embellish with the rest of the collection as you go, as it works with the photograph. So if you're using a color photo, it's great to use this method to match up the colors in your photograph. That's my layout here today, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by, and make sure that you check out all of the other challenges on the Facebook page today and on the blog. Thank you so much, and I'll see you another time. Bye-bye.